Okay, so I spoke to you one Saturday morning after it's pretty early in the shoot of season one, and you casually mentioned that Jerry Jones popped in on Friday afternoon to shoot a scene, which I could not imagine because I couldn't imagine Jerry learning any lines. But you said no. Taylor just told him just be yourself and tell your story, your backstory of how you rose to the point where you could buy the Dallas Cowboys and what your kids, what your family have all meant to you in your
Right.
rise. And I got to tell you, I know Jerry really well, and that was the best he's ever been in public ever. He nailed that scene. He sort of stole that show with that performance. And you're sitting right there, to his left watching it. This is in John Hamm's hospital room where he's had a heart attack. So
Right.
were you surprised at all by Jerry's performance?
Honestly, I wasn't that surprised. And the reason I wasn't, and by the way, when I told you that at the time, that morning, you were probably one of two or three friends of mine that I even said anything to. And of course, it was all confidential because, Taylor wanted the Jerry Jones thing to be a
Yeah.
surprise, but he didn't want it to be a surprise in the sort of stunt casting way. He didn't want to make some weird big entrance or something like that, and everybody's going, "Oh wow, that's Jerry Jones." He wanted to come in more organically, and so that's why they kept it a secret. And so uh, we talked beforehand because I'm an Archie, Jerry's an Archie. He played on that '64
He did.
championship team with Switzer and Jimmy Johnson, and
Mm-hmm.
so that whole situation has been something I've known since I was a kid. Well, he came by my trailer to say hey that morning.
Hmm.
And for some reason, Jimmy and Switzer, I knew both of them, but for some reason, Jerry and I had never met.
Hmm.
Came by the trailer, he goes, "I wanted to meet this other Arkansas boy. I'm a big fan of yours." And we talked. And as we were talking, I saw that he's got a quality about him where he can just be as down home,
He can.
just talk to you, like a regular guy.
He can.
And and so and Taylor had already told me that Jerry is not memorizing a monologue. Taylor wrote it down because Jerry had told him this story before, and this Jerry's real life story. So, like if I were to tell you today, "Hey Skip, I got a part for you in this movie," all I need you to do is tell me about growing up in Oklahoma and what you felt about sports in this monologue. You would be way better at that
I would.
than you would be if I said, "Hey Skip, you're playing the lieutenant of the Starship Enterprise, and here's your
Yeah.
dialogue."
Good luck.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And um, so Jerry just went in there and literally just told his story. And so I had every bit of confidence that he'd be fine at it. Um, and we all sat down and just talked beforehand, and he was very loose. He wasn't nervous. And when I went in there and listened to that, because he's only got a couple of lines with me there, he's just basically telling me and John, especially John, "Look, you need to pay attention to your kids here and don't spend your whole life just in business."
Yeah.
And when he told it, he got emotional
He
because
did.
he was telling exactly what happened to him.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, that's going to make me and him emotional too. And I literally became lost
Really.
in his speech.
Wow.
I was not, as a matter of fact, when he said something to me, he said, "Tommy, you're no spring chicken either. You need to. And
He did.
so my reaction to him is completely natural because I was just talking to Jerry, you know. So yes, it was a great thing for the show.
So he tells a story about when his oldest uh, child, Charlotte, leaves Little Rock to go to Stanford. He says in that monologue that he actually got an office in Palo Alto to
Mm-hmm.
be close to her because he and Jean couldn't stand to be that removed from the oldest child and the daughter. And it it hit me because I see how close Bella is to you and you to her and how much she means. Can
Yeah.
you relate to that with Bella and just what she means? She's away at school now, and is it hard on you to be away from her?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, especially since she's the baby and she's the girl.
Yeah.
I mean, father-daughter relationships are very different. My two sons, they're 30 and 31 now. They've been out on their own for a while. They both have their own jobs, and they're like buddies to me.
Hmm.
So when I go out of town, it's just like, hey, call you next week, cool, what's going on at work? But, I miss being able to see them. But then with your baby daughter, it's 20, I call her my baby daughter, but she's at Cal Poly, but,
Yeah.
go Mustangs. And so, which is, by the way, where John Madden went to school, as
Yeah.
well as Ozzie Smith went there.
Wow.
And so I'm so proud of her, and her grades are amazing, and she's such a learner and a studier. So I feel good that she feels good at college. So that helps a little bit. And the good news is this season of Landman, Connie will be there with her most of the time.
Okay, good. Love to
And
hear that.
she, was homeschooled for the most part all through high school. And so I worry about that. But she's started to get her independence, and it's just been amazing. But yeah, every day. I mean, 2 or 3 phone calls, FaceTime, don't stand on the coffee table, you might fall. I still look at her as being 3 years old. So,
Yeah.
And she still brushes me off, says, Dad, please, I'm 20, will you?
Beautiful.